I got dark yesterday at Ohatchee.
Yeah. Morning.
Be welcome. Let us hearts be aside. We are here for you. We are here for you. Let your breath come from heaven. Fill our hearts. We are here for you. We are here for you. To you our hearts are open, nothing here is hidden. You are our one desire. You alone are holy, only you are worthy, God. Let your fire fall down. Let our shouts be your anthem, your renown. Fill the sky, we are here for you. We are here for you. Let your word move in power. Let what's dead come to life. We are here for you. We are here for you. To you our hearts are open, nothing here is hidden. You are our one desire. You alone are holy, only you are worthy, God. Let your fire fall down. To you our hearts are open, nothing here is hidden. You are our one desire. You alone are holy, only you are worthy, God. Let your fire fall down. Lord, we welcome you. We welcome you in praise. We welcome you in praise. Almighty God of love, we welcome in this place. We welcome you in praise. We welcome you in praise. Almighty God of love, we welcome in this place. Let every heart adore, let every soul awake. Almighty God of love, we welcome in this place. We welcome you in praise. We welcome you in praise. Almighty God of love, we welcome in this place. You guys want to turn around and greet one another?
Morning. Morning again. Morning.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you? Morning.
softball pitching yet?
But I wasn't.
All right.
Morning, will you be seated? Give the worship a hand this morning. Good job. Jason filling in for Randy this morning. Randy's preaching at another church today, and so we're praying for him. We got several that are out on vacation today, but hey, the rest of us, we're here, right?
Amen.
So why not get ready to run this morning, okay? Why not get excited about what God's done and about the fact that you're healthy enough to be here again, and that you're blessed enough to get to worship freely. And I thank you for being here this morning. And I'll tell you what, I didn't come below expectations today. I didn't come just to get through it. I come to see God move. And I hope you did it too. Ushers, if you would come forward this morning to receive this morning's offering, that would be great. Hey, we're close, people, to being debt-free here. Praise the Lord. We're on that $10,000 down slide, and that it's going to happen. And I tell you, when it does, we are going to celebrate like you would not believe it. We're going to have one big service that day. We're going to burn that note up, and we're going to celebrate what God has done and what we've been able to partner together and do with Him. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for giving. You are opening up doors for this church that haven't been opened before, and I thank you for it. Let's pray this morning. God, we love you. We've come with an expectation, God. And anytime that you come with an expectation, where there's an expectation for delivery, God. And I believe you want to do something today, God. Don't let us get so comfortable that we miss it this morning, God. Don't let us be so complacent that we lay back and don't seek after the throne of God this morning. Lord, I don't want to be here if you're not going to be here. So, Lord, I pray, God, that you would just move and you would begin to open our eyes of faith, God, that we would fight the fight that you have for us, God, and that we would believe for healing and power in Jesus' name. I pray you bless this offering and use it for your kingdom, Lord, and open up heaven and let us see you today. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Yesterday, my son and I, we went kayaking for a few hours, and we had planned to go yesterday, and I had this spot planned out, and I wasn't sure if the public was actually allowed to go, so I was like, I hope you don't get in trouble, and so we're kayaking along, and Justin, we're about 3 hours in, and Justin's like, man, I'm starting to get tired. I'm like, let's just push a little bit more. We'll go to the end, and we'll come back, and as we're going, we're combing the shoreline, because I know we're kayaking, but we're looking for rocks, and you can't do that in the middle of the lake, so we're combing the shoreline, and we see this bird, and he's stuck, well, it looked like he was bathing like in this root system. It was a crazy root system of this tree, and as we got closer, he wasn't moving, he wasn't going anywhere, he was stuck, actually, and so Justin gets out of his kayak and kind of swims over on us and reaches in, and the bird is just, it doesn't try to attack him or anything. It's just like, please help me out. Mom's freaking out. She's flying around like we're trying to hurt her baby or something. And so he reaches in, he grabs the bird and puts it on the shoreline, and it just takes off. And Mom comes around and we take off. But I was just thinking to myself, of all the things that could have happened yesterday, of all the things that I could have done with my son, and where we could have gone, and whether we turned around when he was tired or not, we would have never seen that bird. And I was thinking, how faithful is God to use me and my son for a bird that was stuck, that who knows if the bird would have ever gotten out. And I was thinking, how faithful is he? You know, it just reminded me of that scripture of how he knows, you know, he takes care of the birds. They don't wonder where their food comes from. They don't wonder where their livelihood comes from. He takes care of them. How much more do we need to him? And so it was really a really cool story for us yesterday, and kind of a one-of-a-kind experience. But most of our conversation yesterday was, how did God set that up for us to be a part of it and to just say yes to every different situation and work it out that way? So I know it's not like a huge thing, but to us it was like, man, if he's faithful about that, how much more can I trust him about me? So if you guys want to stand, we're going to worship the faithful one. Father of kindness, you have poured out grace, brought me out of darkness, you fill me with peace, giver of mercy, you're my help in time.
kind of feel like we're over here and y'all are out there. We're really not together yet. And I think if we're going to worship this morning, it's going to be right that we need to be together. And I understand that things come and they come on our life and they attack us and they beat us down, but we've got to get to the place where no matter where we're at, we can say it's good, it's well, it's where we're ready. We can praise in spite of how we feel. And we can reach so hard for heaven that we actually touch it. And so this morning, as we sing this last song, let's dive in. Don't be afraid to leave the shore, to go deeper into what God is wanting you to do. Just be honest with me. If it hurts, just say I'm hurting, God. If you're in need, say I'm in need, God. And if it's good, just thank Him for it being good. But let's go there together this morning. Let's worship Him this morning.
Season of shaking and stir.
God, we welcome you into the house this morning, God. As if you're not already there, God, but we acknowledge that your presence is here, God. And we look forward to what you have for us today. Thank you for this moment, God, that we've been given, God. I praise you. I lift you up in Jesus' name. Amen. You can be seated. Kids can be dismissed. Kids, are you going out this morning? You stand in the back. Anybody that needs to help you get there this morning, they can follow. Kenna, she's in the green shirt there. So last week I told you some of my baseball story of being a parent with a kid in Little League Baseball and how you have to watch yourself because you think you're Peter and sometimes you act like Simon and get mad and you have to watch it. So I've been on the watch a lot more and I've sat in the bleachers a lot more and been quiet a lot more. But yesterday we played a tournament. We won our first game and win our second game. We're winning it. And then Elijah, my son, he's 12. He steps up to the plate. He hits one down the first baseline, gets a triple, and then, praise the Lord, somebody made a bad throw. And it went way out in the outfield. And he made it home, first time ever having a home run. He's only played last year and this year. But you would have thought, man, that my life just exploded. I was so happy. I was high-fiving dads and going around. I was ready to set the concession stand on fire. I was so ready. But they ended up, they had a hard loss after that. It kind of, the wheels fell off, and it was tough. But you know what? There's nothing better than that, to see your kids succeed. And like I told you last week, it's not that I'm just this huge Weaver Little League baseball fan. It's not that if he wasn't playing, I probably wouldn't be there. But the thing about it is I'm a huge Elijah fan. I'm a fan of my kid. And I like to see him succeed, especially when he works as hard as he does. And I know all of you are the same way with yours. But it was just a great day for me. So today what we're talking about is when sin takes root. Okay? And we say things like that, sometimes we scratch our head like, what does that mean when sin takes root? And, you know, what I'm talking about is when it grabs a place in your life. See, a plant can't really bloom and blossom until it takes root, right? If it doesn't take root, it just dies. But see, when we allow sin in our life and we allow it to take root, then what it does is it produces fruit. What started out as something small grows into something bigger. And what happens with fruit is when fruit falls off the vine and it goes back in the ground, it produces more trees, more fruit, more roots, more things. And you end up with this mass of stuff that you never intended for. And when sin takes root, it always reaps death. That's why the Bible says for the wages of sin is death. It's because it always reaps death. That is the ultimate goal of the devil, is to get you involved in something so long that he can do away with you. And so you have to kind of understand the characteristics of sin to fully understand who you're fighting. What I want you to see is that sin is waiting on you. It's waiting on you. It wants to consume you. It wants to overthrow you. And ultimately, it wants to kill you. God gave a very good explanation of the battle between man and sin as a warning to Cain in Genesis chapter 4. He allowed Cain to know what was happening in the supernatural. There was a supernatural battle going on for Cain's life, and he didn't realize it. Look here, Genesis chapter 4 says, now Abel kept flocks, and Cain worked the soil. And in the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord, and Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. And the Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering, he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Now I want you to catch what the Lord says to him. It says, then the Lord said to Cain, now God himself said this to Cain. He said, why are you so angry? I wonder if God ever looks at us that way. Why are you so angry? After all I've done for you. After all I've given you. Why are you mad? And he looked at Cain and he said, why are you so angry? And he said, why is your face downcast? Why are you mad and why are you sad? Verse 7, I love it. If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? See, sin's a choice. It's willfully choosing to do what's wrong. He says, if you do what's right, Cain, I know right now you've got these thoughts in your head that you're jealous of your brother, that you're mad at your brother. But if you do what's right, will you not be accepted? Now look, but if you do not do what's right, sin is crouching at your door, and it desires to have you. But you must rule over it. Sin is seeking not only to kill Abel, it wants to kill Cain too. Because it's never satisfied with just one. It has to keep rolling. It has to keep snowballing. It has to dig its roots down deep and get a firm hold in your life. Why? Because what's hard to get? A tree that doesn't have any roots, you can just push over. Right? If you deal with sin in the beginning, it's easy to deal with it. We deal with it, we move on. But if we allow it to dig down deep into the soil, it takes a whole lot more effort to get our hands around it and to get it taken care of. Will Jesus forgive it? Yes. Will there be consequences? Sometimes multiple. Sometimes even death. Sin wants to consume you. It wants to take root. And it wants to bear fruit in your life. And contrary to popular belief, there are no little sins and big sins, and there is no such thing as little obedience. Little obedience is no obedience. And partial obedience is complete disobedience. And we got to draw the lines. I mean, my kid, if he's only good, if he comes out and I tell him 3 things to do and he does one of them, he ain't very obedient, is he? And I ought to call him out on that. And it's the same way with God. It's like we can't justify ourselves with God by saying, you know what, God, I lied to my spouse, but look, I went over here and I prayed for this person that was sick. And God's saying, what are you going to do with your sin? What are you going to do with your sin? Let me show you kind of what partial disobedience looks like. And I'm going to spend a large portion of today in Genesis chapter 19, so if you want to go there, you can go there. Genesis chapter 19. It's kind of funny, I'm preaching later today at a church in Anniston, and I'm preaching the same passage just from a different viewpoint. It's so weird. I've never done that before, but this chapter evidently has been on my mind. Chapter 19, Genesis chapter 19, verse 17. We're talking about Lot and his family. Here we go. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, "Flee for your lives." This is the angels talking to Lot and his family. It says, "Flee for your lives. Don't look back. And don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you'll be swept away." But Lot said to them, No, my lords, please. Your servants have found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life, but I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me, and I'll die. Now look, verse 17, they're very clear on what to do. Flee. Don't look back. Don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you'll be swept away. All right, verse 20. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it's small. Let me flee to it. It's very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared. And he said to him, "Very well, I will grant this request to you. I will not overthrow the town that you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it." And that's why the town is called Zoar. But by the time Lot reached Zoar, the sun had risen over the land, and then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. And thus he overthrew the cities and the entire plains, destroying all those living in the cities, and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. She looked back. She became a pillar of salt. Say, man, that's harsh. No. Those very simple instructions. Flee. Don't look back. Go to the mountains, or you're going to be swept away. It's very clear. Sometimes we tell our children things. It's like very clear. I told you to do this, and this. Why are you over here doing this? And we're mad. Do you not think that God is a little bit frustrated with us when he says, do this, and we go, no, I'm going to do this? See, disobedience has cost Lot's wife her life. Lot's wife was looking at where she had been, and she was not looking to where she was going. She's stuck in the past. She's stuck in what used to be. God's saying, move forward. You got to get out of here. You got to run. I'm trying to save you. But in her own mind, she was thinking, man, I sure do miss the days of yesterday. She was dwelling in the past, remembering what once was, and not embracing the future that God had for them. And let me tell you, looking back, once God says move forward, is always costly. Think about it. If God tells you to get out of a relationship, if it's not your husband or wife, you better get out of it. And don't look back. When we look back, it's where we mess up. Look here, I thought about this verse here, Luke 9, 61, 62. Still another said, I will follow you, Lord, but first let me go back and say goodbye to my family. And Jesus replied, no one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God. See, there's a cost to looking back. You're not fit if you're, how can you move forward if you're doing this? fixated on the cross. And he moved with a purpose and with a passion for what he was going for. And that's what Lot and his family should have done. See, you can't relive yesterday. You can't. Yesterday's yesterday. You messed up yesterday, it's done. And you know what? You can't live tomorrow today. I can't live out what's going to happen tomorrow today. But if you're looking back, what you'll do is you'll waste today and gain nothing. Instead of looking forward and building foundations for tomorrow. Why are some people no further in their journey with the Lord than they were 10 years ago? They quit pursuing the Lord and they quit preparing for tomorrow. That's what today's purpose is. We move past tomorrow. We look forward to we passed yesterday, we look forward to tomorrow, and we prepare today. Because today's all that we have. The Bible's clear about not worrying about tomorrow, that today has enough problems of its own. And I agree, but if you live yesterday, again today, tomorrow you're just going to be living today again. And for Lot's wife, as long as she was obedient, she had a future. And the future was different, but it was secure with Lot and his daughters. But the minute she decided to dwell on the past, what she did was she forfeited her future. If you can't get over yesterday, you can't live tomorrow. So if you're dwelling there, you can't move forward. And sin is taking its root in Lot's life, or Lot's wife's life. Look here, we move forward to verse 30 of chapter 19. I want you to catch this. This is what I feel like one of the grossest and most disturbing passages of Scripture in the Old Testament. Verse 30, Lot and his 2 daughters left Zoar and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. And one day the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man around here to give us children, as is the custom all over the earth. Let's get our father to drink wine, and then sleep with him, and preserve our family line through our father." Wow. That night, they got their father to drink wine, and the oldest daughter went and slept with him. He was not aware of it, and she lay down, when she lay down, or when she got up. The next day, the older daughter said to the younger, "Last night I slept with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and you go in and sleep with him so we can preserve our family line through our father." So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went in and slept with him. Again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The oldest daughter had a son. She named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites today. The youngest daughter had a son, and she named him Ben-Ammi, and he is the father of the Ammonites today. Lot's wives, what you got to understand is your sin doesn't just affect you, it affects other people. It does. If I go out today and I choose to cheat on my wife, it's not going to affect just me. It's going to affect April. It's going to affect my 2 children. Lot's wife's disobedience exposed her daughters, and it left her husband vulnerable to failure. If she's there, he don't get enough wine. Why? Because she's watching over him. If she's there, her daughter's not sleeping with her husband. The Moabites and the Ammonites came through the incestual relationship of Lot and his daughters. And you have to know the shame that Lot carried with him over the next 9 months, knowing his virgin daughters, because it says earlier on in that chapter that his daughters hadn't been with anyone, that his virgin daughters had lost their innocence at his own hands. And see, the absence of a mother greatly affected the future of the family. Now the Moabites, this is what we know about them, they lived just east of the Dead Sea, and the Ammonites, who occupied the countryside north of Moab, were both tribes related by blood to Abraham, as they descended from Abraham's nephew Lot. But given the incestuous origins of Moab and Ammon, we are not surprised that contact with these people often brought much trouble for Abraham's children, and these people sinned like their parents. It was Moab who led Israel into Baal worship on its way to Canaan. You see what sin's doing here? It's reaping a harvest. They made one bad choice, and now it's continuing to reap a harvest, not just through Lot's daughters, but through the whole bloodline. Through the whole bloodline. You know another time that happened? It happened when Abraham was promised a child, and Sarah wasn't pregnant yet, and so he slept with his handmaid, and he had Ishmael. And then he got Ishmael, started out of one man who sinned. We're here today. We're sinning. We're walking around in sin. Why? Because Adam and Eve made a choice in sin over time. It produced a harvest. And when sin is birthed, it reaps a harvest much larger than the original sin. It's a seed, and the fruit continues to be produced. The sin of Lot's wife led to two entirely different groups of people who become enemies of Israel. Now let me show you the next part of this. All right. We are part of an inheritance, and we will leave an inheritance. We're part of an inheritance. In other words, we're part of what's been passed down to us, and we will leave an inheritance. We have received things that have been passed down to us, generational blessings and generational curses. There's things that we deal with that we've got to either decide that we're going to keep doing or that we're going to get past. For some of you, you're the result of years and years and years of divorced families, broken families. And it's not that you don't have a choice. You have a choice. The problem is that in your mind, you kind of feel like this is normal. Everybody's family has these problems. Everybody's family does this. Everybody has a little bit of an addiction over here, and everybody does this. And you just kind of get programmed into this response, and it's something that you've inherited. Some of you come from broken families, neglect, addiction. As a result, your normal is different than my normal. And it may be a struggle for you. Lot's wife now, she's caught looking back. She's dwelling on what has been instead of embracing what is to come. And you got to decide that you're not going to let the pains of today prevent the progress of tomorrow. Her decision, look back, has impacted her future and the future of her family. When she chose her way over God's way, it always is going to cost you. All right. How about this? Why did she look back? Why did she look back? Who knows? Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was disbelief that caused her to look back. Or maybe she was simply clinging to what was familiar and stuck on reminiscing. See, in the heat of the moment, we rarely consider the consequences of our actions. Would you agree with that this morning? Amen? Yeah. And in the heat of the moment, we rarely think. When you're hot, mad at your wife, and you're saying, and then all of a sudden something comes out of your mouth, you're not really thinking about what that's fixing to do, right? You're not really thinking, like, if I say this, it's fixing to get awful cold around here in the middle of the summer. It's fixing to get bad for me. This is the person who cooks my food. Am I even going to be able to eat it now? Because I'm going to live in fear of what may be in my food. We don't think about the consequences of our action in the heat of the moment. When do we say the most hurtful things, and when do we make the worst decisions? In the heat of the moment. In the heat of the moment. So let me ask you this. What mother would allow the innocence of her daughters to be taken away by her husband? She wasn't thinking about that. She had no clue the impact of her sin. And that's what we do. We have no idea the impact of our sin. We simply make a decision in the heat of the moment, and we choose to do whatever it is that we choose to do. We think, it's not going to have that big of a consequence. But when we look at the life of Lot's wife, it reaps a harvest. Lot's wife wasn't thinking that way. She was simply clinging to what was comfortable in spite of what she had been commanded to do. And sometimes we are so guilty of holding on to what's comfortable that we neglect what God is telling us to do. The sense of the phrase, look back, is that she regarded or considered or paid attention to. In other words, dragged free of her life of self-focus and set well on her way to freedom, Lot's wife looked longingly and lingeringly on her past, even as it was being consumed by the fiery wrath of God. All right, so we see that. I think that a clue to understanding her demise lies in what she turned into. Okay? In what she turned into. God could have ended her life in any way, but he converted her or covered her, he could have covered her in any substance. But it says that she specifically became a pillar of salt. Now, to the modern ear, we think of salt as a seasoning. But up to this point, salt was a preservative, because they didn't enjoy the benefits of a refrigerator. All right? For thousands of years, the primary function of salt was not seasoning, but preservative, and an apt metaphor for Lot's wife. What if God had shown mercy to Lot's wife? Well, let's look at that. What if she had been allowed to flee the wickedness of Sodom to a better place, but the whole time she was harboring in her heart a love for her past? The virus of Sodom's wickedness would have to her new home, it would preserve deep within her, waiting on its chance to emerge and infect others' life. So what did God do? He had to cut it off. He had to cut it off. It would have gone deep. It would have reached into other people's lives. Rather than allow her to preserve the cherished memory of Sodom in a new place, God preserves her as a pillar of salt. Why? So that she becomes a memorial for the preservation of evil and a warning to all who might see her frozen in her half gaze turned, longing looking back over her shoulder. Do you know, surely after she was a pillar of salt or whatever she became, as they went back by there, they knew we can't live in our past. We've got to push on for our future. See, sin is costly. I use this a lot, but sin is, it's going to take you further than you want to go. It's going to cost you more than you want to pay, and it's going to keep you longer than you want to stay. And it starts with one decision. It's never as simple as just, I'm just going to do it, and then I'm going to walk away from it. It's, I'm going to do it, and if I don't get free from it, it's fixing to wreck me. We look at this story, and we see these girls, and we say, well, it was just a different culture. They're trying to preserve their bloodline. This is normal back then. But I don't see any place in Scripture after this that any daughters ever laid with their fathers. So I don't think that I can settle on that alone. That, we can look at these and we can agree it's a different culture. But there's something else happening here. Something that the mother could have influenced. But it must not have been common because, like I said, I don't see it anywhere else. This was a shameful act. And Lot allowed himself to be so impaired that he would have relations with both of his daughters. How drunk do you have to be? I don't know some guys who did some dumb things with some ugly women, but how drunk do you have to be? Do you understand? This is not little. This is sick. Sodom and Gomorrah is known for sexual depravity. So when Lot, when he left Sodom and Gomorrah, he was able to take his daughters out of Sodom and Gomorrah. But the sad thing is, he wasn't able to take Sodom and Gomorrah out of his daughters. They've been influenced. They've been touched by the culture. They weren't even thought that way. They'd not been in a place that was so wicked. So they committed this lewd act with their father. They disabled their first line of protection. And their second line of protection was dead due to her disobedience. See, the sins of our fathers and our mothers can disrupt the future of the family. And our decisions as mothers and fathers will be no different. Some of you, your parents or your grandparents were not Christians. You're not raised in a Christian home. And as a result, you came to Christ later in life. Look here, Proverbs 13, verse 21. Trouble pursues the sinner, but the righteous are rewarded with good things. A good person leaves an inheritance for their children, for their children's children. But a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous. This is a good person leaves an inheritance for their children, but a sinner's wealth is cut off from their children and distributed to the righteous. Because sin reaps the toll. It doesn't affect just the sinner. It's not an arrow in the sense of one and done. It's a bomb that goes off. And its vibrations even crack the foundations of buildings miles away. Do you not think that these women who cry, my body, my choice, and then abort babies, do you not think that their decision is not going to affect them alone, but possibly every generation to come? It really is. This really not just your body and your choice. Who knows, man? Maybe, I don't know, maybe somebody that could have really been a great mate for one of my children, maybe they've been aborted. Yeah? Maybe somebody that could have been a good friend to me in a time of difficulty, maybe they've been aborted. And see, we go there, why can't we have a cure for cancer? Why can't diabetes be healed? Where is the next generation revivalists? Well, quite possibly it's discarded in the trash of an abortion clinic. You see how sick this is? We look at Lot's daughters and we say, man, that's sick. But we look at what we're doing ourselves and we give it a pass. Imagine for a moment your decision is a rock thrown into calm water. And every ripple created touches a different part of the shoreline. And it goes out from here. And that is what your sin is doing. You're casting a rock into a calm sea. And it's causing ripples everywhere. And everything that it touches is impacted by your decision. If sin is not dealt with, it just continues to destroy And all have sinned, but it doesn't make it acceptable in the eyes of God. We cannot lean on the crutch of all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God as a symbol for the grace of God. We need to lean on that as a symbol of disgrace for the things that we've done. It's a rebellion against the heavenly kingdom. You know, sin came into the world through Adam and Eve, of course, but it came into existence out of the heart of Lucifer. Lucifer's plan was to what? Overthrow heaven. He was out of order. And his decision is what? Still reaping fruit today. Have you ever lost someone to suicide? Have you ever lost someone to drug overdose? Been a part of an affair, whether it was on you or whether you were doing it, stole something or had something stolen from you, lied or been lied to, suffered sickness, suffered heartbreak? It began with Lucifer's rebellion. That decision that you made began when he said, I'm going to overthrow God. I'm going to make myself higher than him. Then continued through Eve's sins and Adam's sins and then Cain's and on down the road. See, sin takes root and then it takes prisoners. Jesus answered them. He said, truly I say to you, everyone who commits sin is a slave to sin. They're a slave to it. Sin gives the illusion of freedom, yet once it begins, it rips away all the freedoms that you have. Lot's wife's sin created a chain reaction of sin and consequences that reach far beyond her family. See, sin wants us to believe everything is all right, just long enough to entangle us and to kill us. James 1:14 and 15. But each one of us is tempted when by his own evil desires he is lured away and enticed. Then after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it's full grown, gives birth to death. Why? Because it's progressive. If you allow sin to sit in your life, it will not simply stop at the first act of disobedience. One lie produces another lie, and then another lie to cover it up. Sin is progressive. Let me tell you this. Men begin with pornography, never realizing at the initial point of impact that it's going to destroy so much of their life, consume so much of their thought, and enslave them to perversion. And a lot of kids that are exposed to pornography are exposed totally by accident. They saw this, they found this, they happened upon it, and their innocence is torn. And then what they do with it really determines what happens next. We have to guard our young men, and really our young women too. A majority of children, they're just exposed by accident, but it continues to grow until it produces evidence in public. It's hidden in private. Why? Because it feels shameful. Sometimes it's evidence that pornography has started, is revealed through broken and toxic relationships. That sin begins to grow. Sometimes its evidence is revealed in lewd behavior. You find a young man acting in lewd behavior, and I'll guarantee you that there's pornography somewhere in the line. Sometimes it's revealed in sexual assault. And sometimes it's revealed in child pornography and abuse. See, sin, when it's not satisfied on bread alone, it wants flesh. It wants to smother you and get so deep that you cannot recover. Why does it continue to grow? I'm almost done, I promise. Why does it continue to grow? Because it's kept secret. Because when sin is brought into daylight, it dies. When you confess it, it exposes it. When it's exposed, it can be dealt with. That's why accountability is so important. Then it can be healed and put away. And confession to Christ cleans you up, but confession to one another heals you and holds you accountable. I don't want to confess everything I do wrong. I didn't want to get up here and tell y'all that story last week about me getting frustrated at the ball game. I really like to tell things on myself. And I really don't like it when my wife amens me. But you know what? It says that if we confess to one another, it heals us. And I want healing in my life, and I want to be made complete. James 5:16, therefore confess your sins to each other and pray for each other. It doesn't say just confess to God. Confess to each other, pray for each other, so that you may be healed, because the prayer of a righteous man has great power to prevail. The earnings of our wages, the earnings or the wages of sin is death. Look, the wages of sin is death. But the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus. Jesus comes and he washes it clean. We don't have to live in our sin. I don't have to die because Christ has chosen to die for me, but I've got to accept it. Galatians 5:19 and 20, the acts of the flesh are obvious: sexual immorality, impurity, idolatry and witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish ambition, dissensions, factions, and envy, drunkenness, orgies, and like. I warn you, as I did before, that those who live sin, and when we confess it, Christ covers it. Look here. For Christ also suffered once for sin. Once. The righteous for the unrighteous, to bring you to God. And he was put to death in the body, but made alive in the spirit. He died one time. And we don't have to die. Why? Because Christ paid for it all. We just simply have to choose if we believe him to be who he says he is, or if we would rather serve ourselves and continue down the path that we're headed. Jason, would you come this morning, worship team? I want you to think about this morning. What sin, because I say what sin because everybody has it, what sin is derailing you at the moment from obtaining all that Christ has for you? Because when we're living in sin, when we're holding it secret, when we're living in secrets, we cannot deal with the things that Christ is wanting to do with our life. You know, it's like deciding that, hey, I've got this dull knife and I never sharpen it. It's just not going to be effective. And we can just continue down the old paths that we've been down. We can continue to do the same things, but we all know when you do the same things that you've always done, you get what you've always gotten. And if you say, man, I've been stuck just like this for so many years, why don't you examine your life and see what the anchors are? Because I can guarantee you nearly all of them will track back to sin. I'm just going to choose to do what I do. Can we stand this morning? The altar is open this morning. And it's not a shameful thing to confess our sins. It's actually a free thing that God wants to do in our life. So the altar is open this morning. I would love the chance to pray with you if you'd like me to. And as they sing this morning, you just listen to what the Lord is saying.
There's nothing worth more that will ever come close. Nothing can compare. Your unlimited love, your presence.
there's some things I need to make known. There's some things I need to confess. There's some things I need to be brought to the light. And if you'll just pray for me, I'm going to be trying to fix those things. I'm going to be bringing them to the Lord. Pastor, remember me that I would have the strength to do the things that I need to do. If that's you this morning, would you get your hands up? Yeah, I see it. I see it. Let me pray for you this morning. God, I pray. I lift you up. I thank you, God, that you're an overcomer. God, that you overcame the cross and you overcame the grave. And God, I can be an overcomer through you. And God, I thank you that you've got good plans for your children. That your plans are good for us, God. And that when we submit to you, we fall under your covering, God. And I want to be under you, God. And I thank you, God, that the worlds and the kings, that they conspire against you. But it says in Psalms chapter 2 that he who's on the throne laughs. So there's nothing in my life that I've got today that's too big for you. There's nothing that you can't handle. There's no family that you can't restore. So Lord, I pray you would do it. Thank you for this day, God. Open it up and pour a blessing. In your name I pray. Amen. Thank you for being here. If you haven't been attending on Wednesday nights, we have been having really, really good Wednesday night services. They start at 6:30 on Wednesday. You're missing it. It's good. And so look forward. I'll be teaching this Wednesday night. Just be in prayer for that. David, I know you got an announcement to come forward this morning to make that announcement.
So, part of the year, spring, everything's warming up. A lot of people are doing a lot of spring cleaning stuff. Excited to announce that'll kind of have an effect on the first outreach we'll be doing this year. A lot of people do spring cleaning, plant closets as you're bringing out the warmer clothes, maybe as kids grow up, clothes that don't fit for them. So what we'll be doing is all the clothes that we'll be pulling out that you're getting rid of. As of right now, we're probably putting the fellowship hall. If that changes, we'll let you know. But we're going to be gathering up our clothes and maybe even some toys. The clothes we'll take to homeless shelters, local homeless shelters. With the toys, we might take them to orphanage, local orphanage, like that. So, excited about that. We're praying for that. Back at the end of last year, Matt and I discussed different outreach ideas and whatnot that we could be doing as a church for the community. And as we discussed it more and more throughout the end of the year, he was like, why don't you just take hold of that and just run with it? I was like, all right then. So excited about that. Excited to kick off the first outreach this year. And excited for different things that might bloom and come into fruition for different outreach throughout the year. A lot of new faces this morning, so that's awesome. Thank y'all for being here. There is a little podium just outside with a lot of information for church, some Matt's cards, information for services. So thank y'all for being here. And hope to see y'all Wednesday night.
Yep, and we have live groups meeting tonight. Randy's live group is meeting. If you need to know how to get there, that's open. And then my live group will be meeting at my house tonight, and just bring what you want as far as food goes. If you need directions for that, I can give you directions. Yes, Chris?
I have a question. I just cleaned my room moving downstairs, and I've got a 46-gallon bag filled with clothes. Who do I give them to?
Dave, right there, drop off. All right, stand up. Yeah, let's be dismissed, and then if you have any more questions, you can get with David. Thank you for being here.